I didn't even think about this. Oh, that's so fucking dirty. Why didn't I even think of this? Trump announced a big crypto coin, okay?
And this is why this is so dark. This is a zero-sum game. And that's also what I find so disturbing about this. It's the fact that the Trump organization actually knows that. They know that there is a certain percentage of their fan base that is dumb enough. Your thoughts, starting with Trumpcoin. Trump is inviting the top holders of Trumpcoin to an exclusive dinner and also a VIP tour of the White House. This is great news, isn't it?
I think we are hit a new low where we're selling off access to the president in a dinner based on who puts the most money in a Swiss banking account. And the reality is, these are the amateurs or the people, the cultists who are fascinated by him. The most important people in terms of the Trump meme coin would never show up, because what they've done is they've bought a bunch of meme coins, probably with his permission or his encouragement, in exchange for geopolitical advantage from America. It would never dare thinking of showing up. I hope this thing gets a lot of attention and a lot of people start focusing on what is easily the greatest financial grift in the history of presidents.
What do you think is the most pressing issue for Canada right now? Honestly, it's probably the United States and dealing with the U.S.
It just cracks me up that people were pissed off about Hunter Biden.
This is corruption at its core. Folks, this is what people hate about the swamp. This is a part of how Donald Trump won in the first place.
And yet we have a meme coin and he's inviting people to the White House for the dinner. I don't know. I find the whole thing, it's verging on comical if it wasn't so tragic.
There's no argument for this. You can't even attempt to steelman this. It is pure grift, pure corruption, using the White House, using the presidency as a vehicle to shake down regular investors, not wealthy political donors, which you can make the argument that maybe the Democrats do, but retail investors, in order to raise money, again, not for some greater cause, not even to fund some political campaign, but purely to enrich your friends, to enrich your family, and to enrich...
You ever hear these guys talk and you think, God, these guys are just soy as f***. They sound so mad that Trump figured out the great crypto scam before they did, and now they're just ass pained over it. Like, yeah, the president of the United States is scamming every single American, and he's opened up a potential avenue to accept bribes in a way that we'll never be able to verify for all of U.S. history. Problem?
Your allies. This is completely unheard of, and I just want to highlight that lockup period, which it was a 3-month lockup period. It basically meant that the insiders of the coin can't sell until the period expires. So this is very important. We said this, we need to pay attention to when the lockup period expires. It expired
every 3 months.
Week. So
I think there were 4 lockups. I think there were 4, right? Because it's like 25% vested in 3 months, and then 3 months, and the next 25%, and then the next 3 months, the next 25%, and then, right? I think that's how it worked, right?
Is it any surprise that this bullshit incentive plan to pump up the price of the coin, which is leading to this rat race?
Wait, what's the incentive plan? Sorry, hold on.
That this bullshit...
Oh, fuck! I didn't even think about this. Because Trump is giving dinner or whatever bullshit to the top holders of the meme coin. Oh, that's so fucking dirty. Why didn't I even think of this? Because it's near your vestment period. This is when he can finally start offloading his coins. Oh my God.
Incentive plan to pump up the price of the coin, which is leading to this rat race where it's winner takes dinner with the president, that sent the coin skyrocketing up 60% in one night. Is it any surprise?
Is that true?
This coincides?
Wait, is there a TradingView does TradingView host this coin so that I can see what it trades at? Or is there a website? When did he announce that? Oh God. Was it on April 23rd? Trump announces dinner crypto holders 5 days ago. Good one. Jumped by more than 70% after the announcement. Oh my God.
Right when the lockup period expired. Definitely not. And I think what we'll find out soon enough is that the insiders, this was the Hail Mary that they threw right before they sell. And I would not be surprised if we find out, that they sold, that they profited significantly off of this, not in terms of what they realized in a gain on Trumpcoin, but in dollar terms. I think they announced the dinner and then we find out they cashed out. And I just want to remind you again of the damage that this does.
From April 23rd to May 12th, hold as much Trump as you can. Your average holdings during this period will determine your ranking. The more Trump you hold and the longer you hold it, the higher your ranking will be. Oh my God.
To regular investors. Let's look back to a few months ago when the coin was first launched. You look at the on-chain data and you will find that there were 31 early traders who made a profit of almost $700 million trading this coin. And you think, boy, that sounds pretty corrupt. But then you see the 800,000 other investors who lost cumulatively more than $2 billion.
Based.
And this is what we have to remember about meme.
What's the significance of that announcement date? Okay, so the issue is that, like, I don't even know how many of you guys understand crypto. Nobody really understands crypto. So it's very frustrating when people talk about it because nobody really understands how f***ed up everything is or what's going on. Okay, but let me try to break this down a little bit, okay? So what happened was Trump announced a big crypto coin, okay? And the name of this coin was Trump. Okay? When this coin was released to the public, however, all right, only 20% of the coin was available for everybody to buy. So this is what we can buy and sell, and this is what insiders hold. Insiders meaning people that get pre-approved slices of the coin that aren't available to the main market. They're not being bought and sold. So it's not uncommon that some insiders or some people will hold some amount of the coin pre-sale. 80% is a massive number, though. That's an insane percentage to be held by insiders, okay? Now, on top of the fact that insiders, so people that created the coin or were allocated coin by people that created the coin, so Trump, right? Aside from the fact that these guys have a massive percentage of the coin, 80%, they also are making money off of fees from people that are buying and selling to run this whole pool, which is also crazy because they're making a ton of money just on people that are buying and selling in this 20%. All right. So now a way that you can say, oh, well, this coin is legit. And you know how you know the coin is legit is you have this thing called like a vesting period, which is similar to people that do stock compensation for tech workers or, whoever else. You have a vesting period. And what that vesting period said for Trumpcoin was they're not allowed to sell any of their coin until 3 months pass. And then in 3 months, I think they're allowed to sell 25% of the coin. So 3 months have to pass before they can sell any coins. So they go, oh, look, so we know it's not a scam. It's not a pump and dump. We can't even pump and dump because, look, we can't even sell our shares. And then I think every 3 months afterwards, another 25% of this 80% here unlocks. Now, the dirty part is if they truly believe in this coin as a real project, you're not going to see them sell and dump because they want to support it or whatever. But what's actually going to happen is once this vesting period hits, what you would expect to see is this whole 25% chunk basically get dumped onto the market where all of these people are trading. And as it gets dumped onto the market, it's going to crash the price of the coin, which is going to drive down the shares, the value that all these people are holding. And it's going to allow these people here to extract a ton of money from these people because they're going to have their buys and sells lists and everything. They're going to be buying as these people are dumping. The price is going to go down, and then these people get to cash out. Now, it's kind of obvious that this is going to happen. So, I mean, why would you fall for a trap this stupid, right? Obviously, the coin should just crash before this vesting period, right? Well, one, Trump is the president of the United States, which already allows it to float a little bit higher than it should. But now, what Trump has said a few days ago, before, I don't know, does anybody have a date for when we hit this first vesting period? What Trump has said is, I'm going to offer a dinner to where if you're holding a lot of this coin from between this date and this date, you have a chance, if you're in the top holders of this coin, to have dinner with me. But what that's going to do is that's going to put a lot of upward pressure on the price so that as soon as they hit this first vesting period, they can dump at a higher price and make a ton of money as they basically pump and dump this coin. And that was about a week ago they announced that. So, and then I'm guessing we're coming up on our first vesting period pretty soon here. So that's just, but the timing is just to basically inflate the price of the coin. It's kind of crazy.
And this is why this is so dark. This is a zero-sum game. For every winner, there is a loser. In fact, more often than not, thousands of losers. And, the losers, I hate to say it, are the ones who are dumb enough to buy into this shit. And that's also what I find so disturbing about this. It's the fact that the Trump organization actually knows that. They know that there is a certain percentage of their fan base that is dumb enough to do what...
Why did you wonder if the announcement was on the 23rd? How did you so specifically guess that? Because the goal of an announcement like that is to pump up the coin. So I didn't need to know when the coin was announced because I can just look at the price of the coin and go, oh, wow, there was some major news, obviously, that pumped the of the price of the coin. You can see it here. And you can see that the price of this coin jumped dramatically on the 23rd. So that's probably when he made the announcement. This is what you can see right here. Oh, and the first 25% is already locked. So they could already be dumping coins. I don't know if people are analyzing wallets to see if like some of the original 80%, I'm pretty sure you can track the original 80% being sold, but that somebody more into the crypto shit would have to be able to answer that question. How the fuck is this legal, not blocked? Because the Trump admin has already basically said they're not going after any crypto schemes or crimes. So
whatever they...
Okay,
it's the fact that the Trump organization actually knows that. They know that there is a certain percentage of their fan base that is dumb enough to do whatever they tell them to do, to jump off a cliff if Trump demands it. Not the whole fan base, but certainly a percentage of it. And in this case, jumping off the cliff means throwing away your savings to bet on this rigged casino game that is disguised as a meet and greet with the president and a VIP tour of the White House. I mean, I am just still shocked, and I'm with you that it's comical. It is comical because it's so shameless. But that shouldn't detract us from calling it what it is, which is unprecedented corruption, and it is tragic.
His team also collects fees on each trade, and they've earned roughly $100 million just in January alone. And of course, I love in 2016, he was just irate at the conflicts of interest and that Secretary Clinton was getting $250,000 for a speech. I mean, in this instance, he isn't even asking for donations. It's worse. He's asking for people to buy a volatile, unregulated coin that enriches him directly. And if I were Vladimir Putin, and if I get kicked out of Ukraine, it probably means at some point I get thrown out of a window. I mean, people who lose power in Russia, it usually doesn't end well for them. And I'm spending $60 to $100 billion a year on this failed war effort. I've lost almost 1 million young men, sending them into this meat grinder, which at some point has got to take a toll on the morale and the...
Anyway, you could quickly debunk the Pelosi insider trading allegations. That shit is so annoying to hear. There's no way to debunk it because there's no proof or evidence of it. So it's just an unfalsifiable. People just say because her husband is very wealthy, and he's a huge trader, hedge fund guy or something. They say that because he's very wealthy, there must be insider trading. But it's impossible to disprove that because there's literally no evidence that they ever provide of it happening. So I don't know how you're supposed to be able to say anything about it.
Popularity. Wouldn't he be just stupid to figure out a secure way, maybe using Signal on a phone, to call the president and say, all right, price discovery is dictated at the margin, right? If the Trump coin has a $7 billion market cap, you might be able to take it to 10 or 15 billion with just 100 million, 500 million, a billion in purchases, right? What if you said to him, look, I can make this thing, I really love the Trump coin, and I'm going to make sure that for at least 5 years until you're well out of office, that this thing never, or that at some point it's at least worth 50 billion and your stake is 80%. So you're about to become the richest man in the world, President Trump, just because I love the coin. And in unrelated news, how do you feel about cutting support to Ukraine? I mean, wouldn't Putin be stupid not to make that call and make that offer? And two, wouldn't it be logical? Wouldn't it be the next point in the data pattern in the line for Trump to act on that call? I mean, he started a meme coin. What do you think he did it for? And the notion that he wouldn't be subject to this sort of influence, it just doesn't look at the corruption and the trail of bankrupt companies, the trail of unpaid subcontractors. And I'm incredibly disappointed that Democrats aren't putting up a better fight I can't believe they're not.
I mean, what can you even do about it? Like, it's his DOJ. They're not going after crypto shit anymore. It's a fucking meme coin. Like, what? And the issue, too, about fighting over it is, like, just people just don't understand what crypto is. Because their counter to this is they're just going to say it's crypto. You don't have to buy it. Nobody's forcing anybody to buy it. Like, if people want to buy into a meme coin, they say that it's a meme coin. They really, truly do. There really isn't anything you can say about it. Like, they're pretty open that it's just a scam. Like, it used to be that people would pretend. First, they pretended with big crypto projects. Oh, this project, check out the white paper on this, it's crazy. Then they pretended with like NFTs based on other cryptos. Well, we're going to do cool things with NFT. And now people are literally just like, oh, it's a meme coin. LOL, memes. LOL, it's just a meme coin. And it's basically, that's just like, I don't even want to say it's a code word for a scam. It's just scams. That's all it is. But people seem to be okay with it. So what do you even do about that? I have no idea.
All over the press today talking about all the different scenarios for the Trump coin and how this is nothing but pure grift.
Let's move on to Boeing and Boeing's earnings. They had actually a really good earnings report. Revenue up 18% to $19.5 billion. Deliveries up nearly 60%. They've also reduced their cash burn down to $2.3 billion. A year ago, it was $4 billion. And there was a really big pop in the stock here. I think, it was a great report. I think what really surprised to the upside, though, and what the markets are pricing in here, was how optimistic Boeing was and their CEO was, Kelly Ortberg, about the tariff environment. Because, meanwhile, you've got all these other companies that are somewhat freaking out about the tariffs. 40% of earnings calls so far this quarter have mentioned the word recession, which is unbelievable. By the way, 90% of them have mentioned the word tariff, and you actually called this. You said that tariffs was going to be the new AI on earnings calls. That is what's happening. But he did not seem that concerned about these tariffs. And he was asked up front, what about China? China is your second largest market in aviation. Well, are you concerned about that? And he didn't seem fazed. And if I had to paraphrase his response, it would be, we're watching it, but we'll be okay. And then he had this line where he said that 2025 would be Boeing's, quote, turnaround year. So very optimistic. I think what that tells you is that he and Boeing believe that these tariffs, particularly on China, are going away. And we'll discuss more what's happened in terms of tariffs and how Trump appears to be caving. But it is interesting that these earnings came out before we heard those comments from Trump. And so it appears that Boeing, in my view, had some sort of inside knowledge, or at least some inside feeling that, these China tariffs, they look very scary, but ultimately we're not too worried about it. How else would they not be worried about it if they didn't have some inkling or some real sense that these tariffs wouldn't be going through?
I mean, one of two things has happened. Either he called the Boeing CEO and said, don't worry, boss. Hey, do you want to come to my crypto meeting? Don't worry, right? We know you're a great company. Don't worry. And, let me put out a press release saying you're hiring more people. Just don't be critical of your earnings call, obviously. Or the Boeing CEO just said, this guy's full of shit. Nothing's going to happen here.
Could be that.
We make great planes. Airbus, the thing about this is a duopoly controlled by two companies, Airbus and Boeing. And even if Airbus, for a time being, makes a better plane, as the global economy grows and demographics grows, there's always a need for more commercial aircraft, and no one of them can produce enough. So it really is a duopoly. And they have incredible pricing power, and these are just incredible companies. And I think what he's decided is, okay, this is a fucking distraction. And his earnings seem to cement that. And while China's threatened to reduce their order book, I would bet the order book that the Chinese, the CCP, and the people at Boeing, who are very smart and hire former ambassadors, have all said to each other, look, there's a non-zero probability, a most likely opportunity that the order book and the way we do business is going to stay exactly the same.
What we're seeing with a lot of these big corporate CEOs, companies like Target, companies like Walmart, companies like, other companies in defense, like GE Aerospace, many of these CEOs are meeting with the White House, they're meeting with the president, and they're coming out of those meetings appearing to be a lot calmer. And in fact, this was reported by
And the scary thing, and we don't know now because we have no more insight into anything that happens in our government, and we're living in an unprecedented age of corruption. The thing we don't know is, are these people coming away feeling confident because they feel like the tariffs are going away, or are they coming away confident because they feel like they managed to cut a deal with this administration that's going to give them a competitive edge? But because of the current structure of our government and because of the moral failings of our current government, we literally have absolutely no way of knowing the answer to that at all. So,
Charles Gasparino at Fox Business, the administration at the White House is actually actively alerting Wall Street executives. They're reaching out and telling them that they are nearing agreements on these trade deals, which is a very interesting dynamic that we're now entering into a market and a world.
I don't believe that unless I hear, because this administration has also proven that they will lie about anything, which they've done. I don't know. I wouldn't believe that we're nearing any trade agreement unless another country confirms it first, because Trump has said multiple times now, I think, that China and them have been talking or whatever, and I think China's literally just come out and denied it and said, no, we haven't spoken to this admin at all. That's just not true. So I don't even know. No, it's not. No, I don't know. I'm saying I don't even know. We can't even trust the current admin that they are near anything, even if they say they are.
We're actually the heads of the largest corporations and the heads on Wall Street. They're getting a heads up, and they're able to front run the largest news item of our time. Now, you could say, that this has happened in the past, but I don't think at the level that we're seeing today.
Yeah.
Usually it would be that with very highly sensitive economic data like this, there is a protocol, and the White House comes out and they publicly announce it, and you give markets an equal time, an equal footing to react to what is happening. But it appears that there's such a level of disorganization in the White House. And
corruption.
They're so freaked out by how the markets are reacting. It feels as if what is happening is the administration is having no choice but to call the big dogs of the Fortune 500 and say, hey, just don't worry about it. It's going to be okay. And that's a material information right there. I mean, that is ground zero for insider trading.
He has been beating markets consistently at Destiny. I guess he is a genius. Who Paul Pelosi has? I mean, you can link me something showing it if you want, but it has to be from a non-retarded website.
It hasn't actually happened yet, but we all know that the line between fair trading versus insider trading is very blurry, and we are in an incredibly blurry time right now. And we'll talk more about that in our main story when we really focus on these tariffs. Let's just move on to this new data on wealth inequality. The top 19 households minting $1 trillion in wealth last year, biggest single year increase in history. They now own, those top 19 households now own 1.8% of the entire household wealth in America. That's up from 0.1% in 1982. By the way, the bottom 50% of Americans, they own 3% of the household wealth. So you got half of America with 3% and the top 19 households with 1.8%. There are now 1,990 billionaires in America, and that number is up 45% since 2021, just 4 years ago. So we talk a lot about income inequality and also wealth inequality on this podcast. And here we have some new data, which is just telling us the same thing. We are a massively unequal society.
Well, to stick to the moral argument, it's bad for the economy. And that is when all of that prosperity is being crowded into the 0.01%. One, I don't think they have as much of a vested interest in public infrastructure and the well-being and prosperity of America. Do they have a vested interest in our healthcare system? No. Do they even have a vested interest in our national security? Because at the end of the day, they can piece out to New Zealand or Dubai or... One
thing, I don't know if we heard this on, it was one of Scott's shows or something else, but somebody mentioned this, and I just don't know the names of all these things, so I wouldn't be able to say, but I mean, it was said that it's kind of sad that older billionaires or older elites in society, the way that they left their footprint in American society was by investing in like elite, like academic institutions or elite cultural institutions or icons to like leave their mark. And our current billionaire class doesn't seem to be as interested in making those same types of investments. But
London. So you're essentially creating a super class of people that control so much economics and have so much power over our government, but don't exercise the power in a means that affects all of America because they've basically become sequestered from America and what's good or what's bad about it. They're literally behind gilded gates. And, you know, at some point, and I don't think they believe this, at some point people show up with pitchforks and lanterns, right? But if you think about third world nations that never able to get out of the way and ultimately end up in revolution, they have what's a common feature across all of them? Crazy income inequality. So this is not only bad for the economy, it's really damaging for our culture. And what you see here is that young people...
Yeah, I think the issue is that our current billionaire class are uneducated tech bros. Fuck, dude. It's actually really... it's really annoying. Maybe the elites just were better. They were just better people. They really were. They were just built differently. We need to bring back the real elite class and not the tech bro elite class. It's just not good. Let me use a restroom. One sec. Fuck.
Last week, Bernie Sanders and AOC held a rally in California, and 36,000 people showed up. Just for comparison, a Trump rally is on average around 5,000 people. The Madison Square Garden rally, that was 20,000 people. This was 36,000 people. And the message from those two candidates,
having a good show and getting people to show up for a rally is not the same thing as getting people to fucking vote. You have to get these motherfuckers to actually vote for any of this shit to fucking matter.
Politicians is simply about inequality. That's the whole thing. And it's just so fascinating that 10, 15 years ago, when Occupy Wall Street was at its peak, people were saying this is a big problem. It's only gotten worse.
Yeah, it's gotten much.
Yeah, but the issue is nobody talks about what you can do to actually fix the problem. It's just a bunch of virtue signaling and cringe LARPing. Like, nobody actually has any real solutions. They just want to say the billionaires or whatever the else, and there's just nothing. There's no actual solutions presented.
Tesla's first quarter results fell short across the board, missing expectations on the top and bottom lines. Net income plunged 71% year over year, and automotive revenue fell 20%. Overall revenue dropped 9%. Still, the stock jumped 5% in after-hours trading. Part of the lift came from the broader market rally we just discussed, but investors were also encouraged after Elon pledged to significantly reduce the time he spends on Doge, and he promised to refocus his efforts on Tesla starting next month. Scott, I listened in on the call. The first thing to note is his opening remarks, which were a monologue about Doge and how important the work he's doing at Doge is. And if you're trying to convince investors that you care more about Tesla, your company, than you do about Doge, you should probably start the earnings call by talking about Tesla. Instead, he goes on about Doge and how he's saving America by cutting wasteful spending. Then he addresses the Tesla protests, which I credit him. He should. It's a huge problem for the company. But he makes this wild claim that the real reason people are protesting Tesla isn't because of any of his actions or any of his comments or the fact that he saluted a crowd in what very much appeared to be a Nazi salute. He didn't acknowledge any of that. He said the reason that people are protesting Tesla is because they're upset that Elon is, through Doge, restricting their ability to get government handouts. I mean, he really said this. He said those protesters, they're all receiving these wasteful and fraudulent dollars from the government. And it's because of Elon, they're angry. They're not going to get this free money anymore, which is just an insane claim that completely disregards what is actually happening to the company and its brand. And it's an extremely important thing to address. I mean, this 20% drop off in revenue, it's almost entirely to do with the brand damage. So you have to be upfront about it, and you have to engage with that issue honestly. He was then asked directly about the brand damage by one of the analysts, and asked, what does this brand damage mean, or these rumors of brand damage? What does it mean for the company? And on that occasion, he completely deflects, and he starts going on about the macro environment, which didn't make any sense at all. He said, I'll quote him, quote, Yeah, I mean, Tesla is immune to sort of the macro demand for cars. So when there's economic uncertainty, people generally want to pause on buying. But as far as absent macro issues, we don't see any reduction in demand. Doesn't make sense. And also, it's completely not true. There is obviously a reduction in demand. Your sales fell 20%.
Gotcha.
Favorite line there came when he was trying to assuage investors that Tesla is, in fact, okay. And the way he does that, he's talking about how Tesla has had struggles in the past, how they've, faced issues, which is all true. And then he says, quote, "We are not on the ragged edge of death." Not even close.
Nice.
And that, to me, that tells me that Elon is thinking about this thing called the ragged edge of death. I mean, I knew Tesla's situation was bad. I didn't think it was that bad. But if Elon's saying that, if he's thinking about it, or if he at least thinks that other people are saying it, well, now I'm certainly considering the possibility that Tesla is, quote, on the ragged edge of death, because he just put it in my brain. So I thought this was some of the worst investor relations I've seen. Clearly, the market disagrees with me, and fair enough. But my takeaway is, yes, Elon's back, kind of. He said he's still going to spend 1 to 2 days a week at Doge. So he's kind of back. But he's clearly, in my view, still in a state of delusion and total denial. And I think he did a terrible job of disproving that.
What do you want?
I've always been wondering, Destiny, what do you think about illegal immigration? Because I think most people around the world think that illegal immigration is bad. But in America, there are some people that think even though they came here illegally, if they are not violent or they are doing the jobs, they can't stay. Or what's your perspective about it?
I mean, illegal immigration is obviously bad. The question is, what do you do with it? And the issue is in the United States, it seems like we don't want to increase the legal immigrants coming here. We just want to deport a bunch of illegal immigrants. But in the United States, a lot of the illegal immigrants are working, so it would probably hurt our economy quite a bit. And it just seems like people that want to get rid of illegal immigrants don't have much of a realistic plan to actually get that done. It just becomes like a virtue signal position.
Because when I used to watch Asmongold, for 6 months ago, I used to watch Asmongold more than you. Then when I saw him disagreeing with you on one of his videos, I started watching you more. And then I started noticing that Asmongold started to have a disconnection between the immigrants and the actual people in society. So what do you think about Asmongold's views on illegal immigration?
I don't even know what his views are on illegal immigration. I mean, you have to be a little bit more specific. What do you mean by that?
Do you remember when he made a video saying that he would want to dress up as Ash Ketchum to go around ICE agents to say, "I'm going to catch them all"?
Oh, yeah, I think that's kind of gross, yeah.
All I'm trying to say is do you think maybe what Asmongold is saying is he a result of his audience or his own personal views, or people that watch him are going to get influenced to have that view of immigrants?
Do I think people that watch him are going to have that view of immigrants? Yeah, probably. What do you mean?
I mean, because as you said before, Asmongold is the perfect MAGA viewer. So if he agrees with the message, don't you think that people that watch him could also be agree with him as well?
Probably, yeah, I would imagine so. Most people that watch most streamers probably agree with the streamers that they watch, yeah? That's why they watch them?
Yeah, because of for me, for example, I really used to like Asmongold a lot, but I started disagreeing with him with some things, and I started looking for people that disagree with him. That's why I came on your channel, exactly. And I'm just wondering, maybe you can do some things to convert more people to your channel.
But yeah, I don't know. Listen, if people want to hop on and argue, I'll work on it. After I beat Factorio, I'll start getting real big in that world again. But right now, I'm just trying to beat Space Age, okay?
All right, thank you very much. I'm actually really excited talking to you because I've always wanted to talk to you ever since I've subscribed to you. Thanks.
Well, thanks. I appreciate it, buddy.